All right. So good evening, Sir Alberto. So for our first
Hey,
question,
good evening.
maybe ask for your name.
Yeah, my name is Alberto Alberto. So my name is so nice. They named it twice.
And what's your position po at the BSP?
I work for the financial markets operation subsector under the reserves management department 2. We're in charge of handling the financial reserves of the Philippines, well, at least a portion of it, my department, and I'm a reserves management officer.
So, sir, how long have you worked there na po?
Since 2003, I believe this would be my 18th year.
So, what exactly does your position entail you to do po?
Well, a portion of our gross international reserves are managed externally. So we have internal trading of our reserves. This portion that I'm talking about is which is externally managed is we allow entities outside of the BSP to manage these funds for us. So we go through a very stringent screening process and due diligence on these entities, and we form an investment management agreement with these parties, and we award them these mandates to manage our funds. And throughout that, after they're hired, we do oversight processing. So we monitor their activities, and we check on their performance on a fixed period, and we actually um, draw technical expertise from their viewpoint. So, and these mandates are further subdivided into different asset classes within our management's scope for risk appetite.
Okay, sir. So, how have the BSP and your positions shaped the banking landscape of the Philippines over the years?
Well, to give you an idea, no, kasi we have the BSP has its three pillars, no. I don't know if you're what class is this, if you don't mind my asking. So I could put it into context. What class are you interviewing me for?
We're interviewing for our central banking class.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so
It's extremely relevant.
I'm pretty sure that you were taught the three pillars of the BSP. Or hindi pa?
Uh, Hindi pa po, sir.
Oh, okay. So the first one is to promote and maintain price stability. So,
Stability,
uh, yes, and then a strong financial system, and a safe and efficient payments and settlements. So here we fall under the actually mainly chiefly through under the two pillars, so price stability and a strong financial system. How do we do that? So the gross international reserves are parang your last line. You think of it as your last line of defense when it comes to defending your economies, or particularly the banking system, which is at the core of our economy. So, di ba, dyan nag-iimpok, dyan umuutang. So that's where we uh, that's the heart and soul of our economy, the banking system. At least that's my opinion. That's how I'd like to view it. Uh, our group, the reserves management. So we have our gross international reserves. We use prudently a portion of these reserves to support our open market operations and our peso dollar operation. So when we speak of price stability, the question that pops into mind is our foreign currency position, our country's foreign currency position, since we do international trade. We're until to this day we're net importers within our economy. So we could actually intervene or actively participate. I do not like the word intervene. Apologies for that, but we actively participate in the foreign currency markets, and by doing so, let's say the day's foreign currency position of the system goes one way extremely. We monitor that by our peso dollar desk monitors that by frequently asking their counterparties who belong to the financial system, the banking system, what are causing these flows. So if ever there's a demand or oversupply, or not oversupply, but a large supply coming into the system, we are also participants in that market. So we could inject or purchase back foreign currency or local currency, whichever is relevant at the time, so we can ensure price stability. Where do they derive these funds to participate in the market? It's generally drawn from the reserves. So in a nutshell, that's how we participate in safeguarding the Philippine economy.
Okay, sir. So, sir, do you think that there are any other institutions that are capable of emulating the functions of a central bank or the BSP?
Well, on the top of my head, there are bank market makers that actually are large enough to provide certain financial services that would not really mimic the BSP, because the BSP cannot be, it's an institution on its own that serves a very specific purpose. But these large financial institutions could actually be an essential cog to support the local financial system, and as well as the local economy. Outside from that is from a fiscal standpoint, I guess our Department of Finance with the other outlets under them, like the Bureau of Internal Revenue and the Bureau of Customs. So they serve a different purpose, but they could also have levers to from the fiscal side, because essentially the BSP is functioning from the monetary policy side. So the fiscal policy side would lie in the Bureau of Finance, the Department of Finance, and its arms.
Okay, sir. So for now, I will be passing on to Pierre na po to ask the other questions po.
Hello, Pierre.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening.
So I will start po with how has the pandemic affect the BSP as well as the banking institutions in the country?
Well, this is not from an official standpoint, but from sheer anecdotal observation on my part, is that well, we as you might know, I don't know if I told Inigo this, that a lot of us have been working from home. We're very grateful to the technology available to us that we're able to do that. But prior to that, we were doing a thinned out version of our manpower capacity. But then I personally believe that we've been able to transition into this new normal very seamlessly. So I don't think, as far as operations go, there's been a very large impact as far as to any changes that were observed. Also, our top management, our monetary board, and our group of governors, led by the governor himself and his group of deputy governors, have been very committed to actually dispensing their duties. So they actually, so we have the luxury, as being under them, to be working from home. But them, they actually go to work in the physical capacity.
For the next question, sir, what contingencies has the BSP taken in order to mediate the effects of the pandemic on the banking sector?
Well, our current management of the BSP, excuse me, I just need to take a sip of water. Sorry. As I was saying, yeah, the current management, led by the governor, and as well as the previous governor, the late Sting Espinilla, they're all advocates of financial technology, or fintech. So I don't know if you know that all of these things available to you now, like GCash, the bank's interconnected InstaPay. This is again, this is not my area of expertise. This is very retail, and it's overseen by a different department. But based on the declared advocacies of our management, yeah, you have these things like GCash, Paymaya, and all that. These are all under the encouragement of the BSP management. So it ensures, like me, I don't think I can remember the last time I actually wrote out a check. Like, yeah, I guess you guys are familiar with a check, right? And the last time I actually went to a bank and then cashed it. So all my transactions lately have been online. So through InstaPay, GCash, name it. The biggest one was I actually I'm a recent Vespa fanatic, so I got into Vespas lately. So I upgraded my Vespa, and I was able to pay for it in tranches through InstaPay. So parang, it didn't necessitate both buyer and seller. We didn't really have to go to a bank anymore. So we did everything remotely. So I'd say this whole fintech advocacy is probably came at on the nick of time, because it was in the budding stages pa lang. In fact, a lot of my colleagues were having parang sentiments, or parang not really negative, but they were very reluctant into diving deeply into like everything online na. Kasi a lot of them a little older than me, not that I'm saying that I'm young. So they're very distrustful of walang person-to-person interaction when it comes to financial transactions. So ito, parang it came in the nick of time na the promulgation and the proliferation of fintech. So parang I'm sure you guys have come across a lot of these transactions yourselves. So I'd say that this is my personal take, because it's not really my expertise, but I'd say it kind of helped at least the flow of funds. So the one of the pillars that I mentioned, the efficient payments. So that's very core and key to nation building and protecting the economy.
Okay. Since you mentioned about technologies like GCash, and the likes, the next question is actually connected with that. But if there are any that you haven't mentioned yet, with the continuous development of technology, does the BSP adapt to this? And are there other ways that the BSP adapt to it or improve with the development of technology?
Actually, like I said, the advocacy is towards that. So we're actually not, again, this is not my area of expertise, but from internal anecdotal observation also, is that a lot of this is, since it's an advocacy of our top management, a lot of this is very encourage. They really encourage the system, the banking system, to actually develop their own technologies. As far as oversight goes, I think we're also keeping up to date with our own systems, especially supervision. So much so that we're keeping track of latest developments. We're not really advocating cryptocurrency as yet, but we're very aware of its developments. We're within my department, we're tasked to keep mind of it and report developments on it. And I think other departments and sectors within the BSP are looking into the viability of actually seeing the prospect of crypto, at least the more reliable ones, into the possibility of it entering the mainstream, and the need for us to provide oversight. Did I answer your question? Sorry.
Yes, yes, it did. Thank you for answering my questions. I will be passing it to Ezekiel. Thank you, sir.
Hi, Ezekiel. Good evening.
Good evening, po. So I would like to start with a general question. What are the current plans that the BSP has for the banking sector?
Um, Again, there, I'm not really in a position to answer that, because we're in a. I'm like I explained earlier. I'm designated in operations that has a very specific purpose. But as far as I know, the three pillars I mentioned earlier, it's still very consistent with whatever development that might arise. So the question there is about adaptability. So in different circumstances that may arise, whether it's technology related or what do you call this, crisis related, I think price stability would be an all-encompassing idea that we need to be all adapting to. So no matter what causes it, whether the pace of technology or there's a crisis, that concept would still be all-encompassing. Well, rather, those three concepts.
Next question. Do you have any new future plans? However, it has been affected by the pandemic.
Well, at least in my realm of responsibility, we are limited to, we normally, as I explained earlier, we have external fund managers, and these funds are managed abroad. We normally do perform due diligence tasks to ensure the actual observed stability of these firms and the people that we deal with are actually there, and the facilities that they claim that they have, we have to witness the qualitative elements of these things. And since this pandemic has actually barred us from doing any travel, we've been limited from not performing those tasks. However, that said, given that we have the gift of technology again, so we're close in touch with these very same people, and they give us periodic assurances and of how their operations are like and how they see it unfolding in the near future, as well as the giving us their perception of market conditions in the coming days, well, in the coming within the short period of time.
Okay. The next question is, what plans does the BSP have for the banking sector in terms of recuperation specifically, and how are these plans going to be implemented?
Well, for the banking system per se, I couldn't really, again, that's not my area. But I could, well, I don't think it would be fair for me to infer what the other department's plans are. But I think it still relates back to the core pillars that I spoke about earlier, and how this would assure the banking system that we're on top of things, and that as far as risk management goes, probably, well, yeah, again, this is my personal take. This is an inference because I'm not on top of that. Probably our supervision department would be on top of overseeing operational risk on each of those institutions within the banking system. Since also the face-to-face interaction would be very limited during these times, I think a lot of this is going on. A lot of, like I explained earlier, with our own counterparties. I think with our supervision department's counterparties, they're doing a lot of Zooms and WebExes with their own counterparties and auditees. So yeah, again, that's an inference, but I'm pretty sure that's been taking place.
Okay, thank you. And now I will be passing it to Dom.
Hey, Dom.
Hi. Okay, so it's me. So I just have a couple of more questions for you, just three more in particular. So how do you think these plans will turn out in the perspective of both the BSP and the financial institutions?
Sorry, which plans are these?
The plans for recuperation, the ones that refer back to the three pillars. So
Oh,
financial.
so you're asking how? Well, we continue with our operations and we adapt, like I mentioned earlier, that as things evolve and as things transition, like we're seeing now, we're very. I like to think of the entire institution of the BSP per se is as very malleable when it comes to matters like this. As we've observed, I don't think any of the financial institutions have been adversely impacted thus far into this crisis. I think a lot of this has to do with the very efficient and effective oversight being done by the BSP, as well as the systems and the public's faith in the monetary policy that our central bank leaders are espousing. Example of this is that we're very quick to act as needed when it comes to being flexible with the interest rates. But we're also very firm at the same time if we see it as unnecessary to act, that we're waiting for, like any other central bank in the world, any responsible fiduciary institution, that they have to really observe and keep their fingers on the pulse of the economy and its developments. So key to that is the economic growth, or the GDP numbers being generated by the economy. Also, how inflation is impacting the system. So how that relates to the BSP is, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, our ability to be either hawkish or dovish or very neutral as the situation deems it appropriate. So yeah.
Okay, just thank you. Just a follow-up question to that. How have these financial institutions or fiduciary institutions adapted these contingencies and plans? How do you think they've, to put it to put it this way, how do you think they've upheld the three pillars of the BSP?
Well, for price stability, there've been at least I'm giving examples na lang, no? Because I can't really speak for these institutions, but for price stability, from my experience, they're very transparent naman when you because when I used to be with the peso dollar desk, and we monitor peso dollar, or the FX flows, with the thing called Philippine Dealing System. It's an actual system that you can see the flow of currency, whether the purchase of pesos or the or vice versa, the dollar or the sale of the foreign dollar and the purchase of peso. So we see these activities, and we take it on their say so when we actually call them, because there's like a hotline, we call it a squawk box among the participants, and when you call their attention, if there's a significant enough flow into the system, that you call their attention that hey, what's this flow about? So it's either like these are remittances, or yeah. So in that respect, they've been very transparent, and that's been going on pre-pandemic. So I think it's in their interest also to be as transparent as possible, because again, like you said, they're a fiduciary institution, and it's very paramount that they keep trustworthy and prudent. The other part there is the keeping the stability of the payments systems. I think all the banks, or at least all the major banks, have stepped up their game. Well, me personally, I can't really speak for them again, but my personal experience through this whole crisis that we're going through, so everyone has stepped up their game when it comes to cross payments. In fact, until lately na lang, they've withheld from charging fees for the InstaPay transfer rates. I don't know if you're aware of that. It was free. It was free from, I think, from the beginning of the pandemic last year until very recently. I think until February or March this year. But they even reduced, for my experience, no? Like the InstaPay transaction to do interbank payments, it used to be 50 pesos per transaction. Now when I transact, it's 10 pesos. So they, from free and to well, these people need to make money rin naman, di ba? So, pero they were very supportive of the entire system by charging us a smaller fee than they normally do. So at least from that anecdote, I can I think I can bridge that query of yours.
Okay, and thank you. And for our last question, maybe from your opinion, or if you can give us a standpoint from the BSP, do you think that the country has been in line with the BSP's plans to recuperate efficiently given the current situation?
Um, how do you mean? The country and its citizens, or the rest of the central government, or
I think
how?
the country more into the perspective of like the FIs, the fiduciary institutions.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think they've all been very supportive of, like the examples I gave earlier. Uh, I mean, they didn't really have to scrap fees for interbank online charges, but they did. I mean, also they provided moratoria on certain payments of loans earlier in the pandemic. Again, it's not my area of expertise, but I do read the news, and these banks should be given kudos for providing that sort of support to their banking public. Um, so yeah, the response that they've provided is very consistent with what the BSP advocates. So uh, these are all in line with what we try to espouse in with the three pillars. So I guess yes, they have stepped up and provided naman. That's my opinion again.
Thank you. That's really good to hear, and that's very reassuring. That's all the questions we have for you. So once again, on behalf of my group, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us for this interview. You've been more than a great help, and I think you've gone beyond what was needed for the questions. So thank you very much,
Yeah.
and I hope that
You have my contact details if you want to do follow-up queries. I'm more than willing to, and I hope that I've addressed some of your queries.
you've answered everything perfectly. I don't think there's anything left to ask. No follow up. No loose ends were left behind.
That sounds good. Thank you. Thank you.
So just following the school's protocol on data privacy. So this meeting was recorded and will only be used for educational purposes. Should our professor ask that this video be shown in our class, which is our central banking class, which is held on um, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 7:45 to 9:15, do you consent to it being shown to
Well,
the
within a limited group of people, yes, perhaps. But again, a lot of these,
yes, non-shareable to a limited group of people only for
yes,
the sole purpose of education?
yeah, and also I'd like to
Okay.
emphasize that a lot of these answers that I gave, or a lot of them were my personal opinion and not the institutions.
Yes, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
I'd like to
make sure to
emphasize.
note that these are not the view of the institution and your personal views.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. I'd appreciate that.